Mahomes in trouble again, spinning right, left, now turning back to the right. He'll sprint and fires it late for the end zone. Caught! A yard deep in the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City for Byron Pringle.
Hello and welcome into The Breakdown. I'm your host, Matt McMullen, and today we're recapping a tough one as the Chiefs dropped their first game of the season in a 19-13 loss to Indianapolis. Let's kick things off with Coach Reid's opening statement following the game.
A couple injuries here to talk about. So Sammy Watkins has a hamstring strain, and then Anthony Hitchens went out with a groin strain, Xavier Williams ankle, Chris Jones groin, Andrew Wiley ankle, Pringle went into the concussion protocol but came out okay. So listen, with that, we got beaten about every phase that you could get beat in this evening. So that's my responsibility to take care of business. With that, 11 penalties against a good football team are going to hurt you. Turnovers are going to hurt you. You got to get I got to get the bigs playing better on both sides on the offensive defensive line. It starts there. When you win, it starts there. When you lose, it starts there too. So. It's early in the season. We got to go back and learn from this and get ourselves a little bit healthy with some of these injuries and get rolling. And then the guys that have an opportunity to step up and play, they step up and play and go win games for us.
There's really no way around it. Injuries, penalties, and a lack of execution make it tough to win in the National Football League. But let's start from the beginning. The Chiefs tallied a field goal on their opening drive, but Indianapolis responded with an impressive 11-play touchdown drive on their first possession to take the lead as Jacoby Brissett scrambled into the end zone. But then it was time for Patrick Mahomes to do Patrick Mahomes things. First, on the 8th play of an eventual 11-play scoring drive, Mahomes scrambled to his left before firing a dart sidearm to the right while falling backwards that found Travis Kelce for a gain of 18 yards. It was an immeasurably difficult play, but Mahomes made it look easy.
Moving to the left side is Mahomes, gripping it, firing it, sidearm. He's got Kelce for a first down at the 18 of the Colts, winging that sidearm. Moving to his left, comes back to his right, a gain of 19.
Then, just a few plays later, facing a 3rd and 18, Mahomes scrambled and changed directions multiple times before sprinting upfield and unleashing a bullet to Byron Pringle in the end zone. You heard the call of that play on our open. It was simply amazing, but it's just what this guy does. In fact, there have been 2 touchdown passes this season on 3rd and 18 or longer, and both belong to Patrick Mahomes. The Colts tied things up with a field goal drive later, but after a flurry of scoring to kick things off, that was it from both offenses for a while. Chief safety Tyrann Mathieu was personally responsible for ending the Colts' next drive after their game-tying field goal, picking off Brissett deep in Kansas City territory.
Brissett against the rush, firing for the end zone. It's intercepted at the 10-yard line. Intercepted. Moving up the right side at the 20, 25. Moving back to the right, it's the Honey Badger. And the Honey Badger is up and finally down at his own 36-yard line.
That was the first of hopefully several interceptions for Mathieu in a Chiefs uniform. And Kansas City looked to be in business following the pick. LaShawn McCoy took a beautifully designed screen 21 yards deep into Colts territory. But the Colts jarred the ball loose while bringing McCoy to the ground to force the fumble and turn the ball back over to Indy. The two teams traded punts after that before Adam Vinatieri gave the Colts a 3-point lead headed into halftime, which then gave way to a defensive struggle in the third quarter in which neither team tallied a point. Indianapolis had the ball to begin the fourth quarter and looked to be closing in on a touchdown with a 14-play series that chewed up over 8 minutes. But a huge tackle by Mathieu once again helped keep the Colts out of the end zone.
They fake it. They're going to go on a counter pitch. Well read and well played. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, blows it up, reading the counter pitch all the way and hitting Jordan Wilkins for a loss of 8.
The Colts added one more field goal soon after that to go up 6, which brings us to perhaps the most critical series of the game. A penalty and a sack backed the Chiefs all the way up to their own 7-yard line, facing a 3rd and 28 with the game hanging in the balance before Mahomes found Byron Pringle for a 27-yard gain to set up 4th down and 1.
Mahomes in the pocket, now moving laterally. He's going to fire it. He's got a catch made by Pringle and sheds a tackle, gets a block. Pringle at the 30, really close to a first down, but just shy at the 34. The Chiefs needed 28. They'll get 27 on 3rd and 28.
Which brings us to 4th and 1. This was the ball game in many ways, considering where the ball was on the field, and after Damian Williams couldn't move the chains on 4th down, that was essentially it. The Colts added one more field goal to go up 2 scores, and while the Chiefs brought it back to within 6 a little bit later, there simply wasn't enough time left as Kansas City couldn't recover the onside kick with just over 1 minute left. It was a tough ending to a tough night. Here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say after the game about the Chiefs' struggles on offense.
Yeah, I mean, they played good defense. I mean, they played man coverage. They rushed with 4 people, and they found ways to get pressure and to cover long enough. And so for us, I mean, Detroit did it last week. New England did it in the playoffs. I mean, we're gonna have to beat man coverage at the end of the day, and we got the guys to do it. So now it's about just going out there and executing whenever teams present it to us. Obviously, we're going to move on. I mean, pretty quickly here. I mean, we're still early in the season, so I mean, this loss hurts a lot. But at the same time, we know we still have a long ways to go, and so it's something that we'll be able to learn from. And as we see the trend, I mean, teams are going to play us in man coverage, and we're going to have to find ways to beat it. And if we don't, we're going to keep getting it. So we'll go back to the drawing board, find ways that we're going to beat man. And when you get the challenge, you have to make sure that they win, and then I have to make sure I hit them whenever they do win.
All right, it's time for my 3 stats to know from this game. My first stat was 103. That's how many receiving yards Byron Pringle had, and easily his best game as a pro. He was given an opportunity when Sammy Watkins couldn't play early on in this one, and he stepped up big. Here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say about Pringle after the game.
Yeah, I mean, he stepped up. I mean, kind of just falling in line whenever Sammy wasn't able to be out there. And so he came in, and whenever he got his chances, he made some plays. And so, I mean, that's what we have to do on this team is no matter who's out there, obviously we need to get healthier, but no matter who's out there, we got to find ways to make plays and to win football games.
My second stat is 1,741. That's how many passing yards Patrick Mahomes has this season, all without throwing an interception. If you think that sounds like a lot, you're right. In fact, it's the most to begin a season without an interception in NFL history, breaking the mark set by Peyton Manning in 2013. And my last stat for you is 1. As tough a loss as Sunday was, the Chiefs' defense still held the Colts to just 1 touchdown and 5 trips to the red zone. Additionally, the Colts were just 5 of 14 on 3rd down in the game. The result wasn't what we wanted, but those are still positives to take out of this loss. A loss is still a loss, though, which Tyrann Mathieu explained afterwards in the locker room.
I feel like, we had a great week of practice. I felt like we played together all week in practice. Even stretches during this game, I felt like we really stepped up, made big plays, but it was a few plays in that game that, obviously we want back, and most games would be like that. But anytime you have a chance to, win the game or help your team win the game, everybody has to feel that, and we came up short today.
That leads to my final thoughts as we wrap up this week's episode. Nobody likes to lose, and frankly, we're not used to losing much since Patrick Mahomes came to town. It's not fun, especially at home. But as Coach Reid said earlier, you have to learn from these kinds of games. That's what great teams do, plain and simple. And I'm confident enough in this team and in the culture in this locker room that the Chiefs will utilize this loss to make them better moving forward. It's not fun, but there's still a lot of football left, and the Chiefs' goals this year are still very real. Thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll see you next week at Arrowhead.